So I have Pan-o-matic open here, a stock FL Studio plugin. So what it does is that it helps you pan. Now, as you can see here, there is this pan knob and there's this volume knob. So if I go down here with these two arrows, the down, this vertical line is the volume and the horizontal line is the pan. So if I move it to the left, it's panning to the left side. If I move to the right, it's panning to the right side. If I go down, it's lowering the volume. If I raise it, and so forth. So that's it. We're not going to talk about the LFO right now. We're just going to work with just the panning and the volume. So the thing I want to talk about the most is just the left and right, going this way and that way, and how it helps you achieve a good mix. Sometimes it's not about you touching the volume knob and kind of placing your sound in the right place in the mix in terms of volume only when you're mixing, but it's also placing the track in the right place in your stereo field. Now what a stereo field is everything that is in this Pan-o-matic over here. Now from here to here is from left to right, so this is the stereo field. So you can either place your sounds anywhere in between depending with your preference, but preferably what I would say, this is not a rule set in stone, but this is just a basic guide on where to place your things in the stereo field when you're mixing and when you want your sounds to be much more clearer. So drums are usually in the middle, especially your stuff like your snare and your kick. They need to be at least right there in the middle. But it's up to you if you want to make it wider, but you need to keep them in the middle most of the time, and your bass as well. You need to keep it right there in the middle. But as I'm saying, this is not a rule that's set in stone. You can do whatever you like, but I feel like it's pointless for you to have your bass only on the left side, because now if someone is playing your song on just one speaker and they only have the right side, they will not hear that bass. So that's why panning is so important, because you also must think about people that are going to be playing this maybe on a small speaker or on just listening to it with one headphone on, or just in a mono connection, because sometimes people won't always hear things in stereo. Even sometimes phones play just in mono. What I wanted to show you was panning works in different ways depending with what type of instrument you have. Strings are usually made wider, and what I mean about wider is that they always are split into kind of two images, one that's to the left and one that's to the right, and in the middle you don't really have so much of them in the middle. They're usually like split all the way wide. Now that is imaging, but when we're talking about panning, is like moving the whole one image of a sound and moving it left and right, back and forth. So percussion is usually anywhere you want to put it, but not too far left, not too far right, just like somewhere in the middle, like maybe here or here, that way. So when it comes to bass stays right there in the middle. Most of your drums stay right there in the middle, but your percussion needs to be somewhere in the middle ground over here. And if it's synths and VSTs and stuff like that, some of them usually come already with a little bit of imaging in them, especially if they have like a phaser on it or a flanger. Those kind of change the sound and have kind of auto panning already, so it sounds that will be moving back and forth here. So you must also look out for that. But unless if it's a sound that is not, so if it's a sound that doesn't have any imaging on it already, it will just stay in one place. And sometimes you might hear a sample. If you're doing sampling, a sample might be leaning more to the left or more to the right, so that's something you must also just look at when you're panning. So that's basic panning. I'm just telling you right now, and how you can use it and when to use it. So this is not a rule that you can just take by, but it's just a basic tip in a way that you can kind of layer out your stuff. So let me just show you how panning works. Like this kick over here, so if I move my panning to the left, you can hear it's only playing on one side. If I move it the other way, it's only playing one side. So you need to make sure that it's in the middle. Now if you're using samples, some samples come already in stereo and they're already panned, so you need to check where they're playing, because your kick might sound nice, but then if it's not a good sample that's in mono, it's got some panning on it, might be playing on one side, and then you hear sometimes it's not playing on one side. So that's why you need to check your panning. You need to check your meters here, because if I play here, you can see it's filling up both the left and the right channels. But if I pan it, you can see it's only filling up only the left channel. So now you also need to check that when working with samples and VSTs. Just look at your levels, see if everything is balanced out, and isn't exactly where it needs to be. So that's all I wanted to explain to you guys about panning. I hope you find this very helpful. I hope you explore panning and imaging as much as you would like. There's a lot of plugins out there and in FL Studio that can help you pan. You can use phasers to kind of give motion and movement to your panning of your sound if you would like to. You can use that on drums, you can use that in your drum bus, or in a synth or a VST of your choosing. So I hope you guys find this video very helpful, and if you do, leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe down below as well. I'll check you guys out in another video. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.